Hey, what's up, champions, and welcome to Growth Mode. This podcast is for the business owner who set out to create a business but ended up creating a job for themselves. I'm your host, Donnie Boivin, and I've spent over 20 years in the straight commission sales game. I broke a lot of shit and sold millions of dollars along the way, trying to figure out how to get better at selling and grow a business. Hanging out with me is my buddy Kevin Snow, a sales and automation tactician and genius in the game of sales. We partnered up to change how the world does business development. So on this show, we're going to talk about funny tips, anecdotes with a whole lot of no bullshit as we debate how to be a badass in the business development game. So Kevin, what the fuck are we talking about today?
Hey everyone. So today we're going to talk about something that happens to every small business at some point in its development, and that is their inability to stay consistent at business development and keep new prospects coming into the pipeline faster than prospects are leaving the pipeline.
So what I know is I don't give a fuck who you are. At some point in building your business, you get really good at doing the business reach out, you're doing the business development, you're doing the sales shit, and then you land some deals. And the next thing you know, you're inundated with business operations, accounting, all the shit, doing all the things. And then you look up and holy shit, you have an empty fucking pipeline. And I mean, it happens to us all because we don't stay disciplined in the moment of doing the reach outs and the things we need to do. So as we go through this, is going to be, how do we stay in that game and what are some tactics and tips to get there? Kevin, why do you think so many people struggle with, staying consistent in leading business development?
I think a big piece of it, there's a lot of things going through my head right now, so I'm trying to pick one.
That's what happens when you deal with a fucking introvert. They start thinking and everything goes to fucking scramble.
Lots of stuff. So one of the big things is business development isn't fun for a lot of business owners. They would much rather be doing their thing in their genius zone. Thank you, Landon. I use that term all the time. And, like me, I'd rather be in my automation systems building really cool campaigns and tools for people.
He misspelled. He'd rather be watching fucking Star Wars and geeking out with lightsabers.
I can do them at the same time, Harry Potter boy.
Right. Well, I mean, there's some truth there, right? Is we're geeking out in the simple and the little things and that we forget to do the other stuff. But I want to make the argument that business development should actually be a lot of fucking fun, right?
It can be. I totally agree.
Well, there's no can be. It is. If it's not, you're fucking doing it wrong.
Well, yeah, and that's I think a big piece of it. When I was doing B2B sales, that was my full-time job. Business development tasks for me was telemarketing. And this was back in the 90s, pre-social
dinosaurs,
media.
Pre-dinosaurs, you can say it.
Yeah, I'm not that much older than you. Shut up. But there wasn't social media where you could do your reach outs that way. You couldn't do lives on Facebook. There wasn't those types of events. It was smiling and dialing and door knocking. And of the two, smiling and dialing was the least offensive to me. So
you didn't really have the people at that point.
Well, the whole idea of like walking through a business and walking into random people and talking to them was like, oh yeah, not a chance in hell.
I love that honesty.
But I've done it, and usually we'd go out in teams and we'd hit like one of the downtown high rises and just hit doors and businesses and see how long it took us to get kicked out of the building. But it sucked. If I could find something else to do other than getting on the phone and just dialing and saying, hi, this is Kevin from Nextel, how blah, 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 I would do it.
See, And I think that's a lot of the problem. When people think of business development, they think of it in the cold, traditional style of sales. I mean, you and I both grew up in the same sales type of game that, this was back before, the internet was really a big thing, especially social media, right? So there
We
wasn't
still got the faxes, the
right,
sales faxes coming in. Buy this stuff.
right. When I first got into commercial printing, there was no, hey, this is who you need to call. This is who your targets are. This was go sell printing. And, I was a young kid in my 20s going, how the fuck do you do this? And I didn't know what a cold call was. I didn't know you could go walk into, businesses. So I had to start figuring things out. And for me, I was always such a people person, my mom had been a receptionist for years at this point. So for me, the idea of walking up and talking to a receptionist, that was fucking cake. Because I could walk up and just pretend every receptionist was my mom and I could get into some great conversations. And I know, that environment, that if you can make that receptionist, don't interrupt her day, and go have a real conversation, be very upfront, tell them why you're there, and accept what they tell you as the next steps, but come back and keep coming back. So I could wrap my head around that process. But for me, that wasn't fast enough to grow a business, to do the walk-in. So now I'm in this business development game where I had to learn how to do the calls and things. So I want to address the calling side of the lead generation because there's a way to make that fun as hell. And I think people should. So if you're in the game where you've got to do a lot of smile and dialing, pick up the phone and call people. If you're sitting in your office, you're sitting anywhere by your fucking self doing that.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, you're going to be hating life. You need to sit down and find a phone buddy, kind of like a Thunder buddy, but a phone buddy. And literally do this whole thing where you both, and like even in this day and age, if you have somebody, let's clarify it this way: you shouldn't do business development alone. Period.
Ever.
Right? You should partner up with somebody, even if you kick up Zoom and you're doing dials, you're doing reach outs. I don't care what it is. Find somebody that you can make fun of each other as you do the shit. So it's the funnest way. Go ahead.
This brought up just a memory that's like one of my favorite memories. On one of the sales team I was on, I was working for an independent wireless distributor. Me and this other guy were like the top guys in the city for all the distributors, and we were having a team event the afternoon. We're going out on the boat, out on one of the local lakes. We're going to be drinking with the team. So we're like, we're going to do a telemarketing blitz this morning, you and me. And we brought in a 12-pack of beer. So we started drinking at 9 a.m. in our cubes, and they're right across from each other. And we had a contest. It was like, who can set the most new appointments? And we drank and telemarketed for like 3 hours. I set 10 appointments. He set 12. And we got to the meeting. Like, what'd you guys do this morning? Because no one else was in the office. Because it's a fun day. It's like, yeah, we set 22 appointments and drank a 12-pack of beer. What did you all do?
Dude, the first cold calling I ever did, I was so scared shitless to pick up the phone and make cold calls. I took a bottle of Captain Morgan and set that on a fucking table in front of me. And I drank 2 or 3 shots just to get, that liquid courage going.
Yep.
And I started dialing. That's how I taught myself, was with a bottle. And dude, I got pretty fucking hammered that first time.
So we've now established for people who hate to do prospecting that you need to be drunk doing it. So let's talk about some other options to help them do this other than getting off the wagon.
Yeah. But going back to this whole buddy system idea, I mean, here's the ideal thing. And I learned this working with a bunch of sales managers. And then I started applying it with the salespeople that reported to me, was you need to create a system of you go, I go. And here's what I mean. So imagine you have a buddy, another business owner, and you two can sit down, crank open Zoom, and can see each other. And whether you're doing reach outs on LinkedIn, whether you're doing, or Facebook, wherever, or you're doing calls, you need to do the I go, you go system. And what that is you have an agreement up front that, you're going to do the reach out. The other person's going to shut the hell up while you do it. And, they have 2 rules. One, they got to bust your chops when you fuck it all up. And two, they got to give you real advice to how to get better. So imagine you're sitting across from somebody and you start doing a phone call and you just completely blow it, right? Like you just bomb this thing. Your person you're calling with should laugh their fucking ass off at you and go, dude, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard come out of your mouth. And the reason being is you've got to break that fucking tension. It's not about being a dick, right? It's not about being rude and crude. It's about laughing at the fucking moment so you can learn to laugh at yourself when you do dumb things. And then they can go, if you would have said it like this, it would have been better. And here's why this works so well, because they're fixing to turn around and make a fucking call, and you get to do this shit right back to them and bust their chops. And this works whether you're doing, reach outs on LinkedIn, because while you're on LinkedIn and the other platforms, you're going to be getting stupid messages back from people, trying to sell you shit and everything else. It allows you to get in a rhythm, and things are just easier when you do it with somebody else. Even if you guys are not doing the busting each other's chops game, you're just scheduling a time where you two can go and do the business development together. You're going to find so much more rhythm and so much more success because you've got accountability of somebody else sitting there. And I love finding somebody who's not in your industry at all. I mean, I don't mind if you find somebody that's in your company, if if you're in a sales role and you want to partner up with them, but finding somebody that is more of a buddy makes this so much easier because it creates just so much more of a lax environment. And it's been healthy for me over the years of figuring out how to get better at sales because you're helping each other out.
So you used a term a little bit ago that I want to touch on: schedule a time. And I think that's really key as well, because if you don't have it on your calendar that you're going to be doing this business development task, whatever it is, reach outs, phone calls, door knocking. And I completely agree. Door knocking is a complete waste of time because it takes you too long to make the same amount of connections. You're never going to get done because someone's going to grab that time. Yep. And you're going to fill it with something else. And I think it's also important to understand when you're at your best for whatever type of reach out you're going to do. Jumping on the phone at 8 o'clock for me in the morning, while that may be the best time to catch CEOs because they're just coming into the office and they haven't jumped into their day yet, does not work for me because I am not a morning person.
No, he's a fucking zombie.
I need right after lunch is great for me. But yeah, right away in the morning, not a chance. So you have to understand your rhythms and when you're at your best and schedule those tasks appropriately. In the morning, it's email follow-up and that type of stuff for me, totally cool. I'll send out cold emails, follow-ups for that type of stuff. But actual talking to people, unless it's a client or some established relationship, not happening.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, because I am the morning person, so I know for me that my business development's got to be done first thing.
Yep.
Because if I don't, then the day is going to happen. And then I'm going to be, it's not going to get done because I'm not going to come back to it. So to Kevin's point, you should always do business development when you are at your best. It just makes things a lot more easy to get done in that moment.
So is social media business development?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're not TikTok bending. I don't know what TikTok bending is, but don't do that either. As long as you're not TikTok binging, and what I mean is, I tell people all the time that a majority of my business comes off of Facebook, and people are like, "Oh, I don't Facebook." I'm like, "Why not?" And it blows me away when they say it because of how much revenue we do off of Facebook. But you got to understand, my Facebook is business. I don't social to social. My social is business. Every portion of it is. Every platform is a business platform for me, even the TikTok. Doesn't mean that I can't get sucked into TikTok videos and be laughing and joking and sending them off to people and stuff. But, every activity that gives you an opportunity to get to a final sales conversation is a business development activity. You need to treat it as such. So you've got to understand what is the behavior in that social platform that turns it into a business development activity. And the simplest one you guys can do is literally sending DMs, direct messages, private messages, commenting on people's stuff as long as it's a business maneuver in there. But you need to set very disciplined things inside of those. So if you're going to do reach outs, set a limit of how many reach outs you're going to do. If you're going to do comments, how many comments you're going to do. If you're going to engage, interact, how long of a time period are you going to give yourself in that moment, and set a fucking timer, because you know, if you get sucked into TikTok, you know, and you're going to be commenting on videos or anything else, you're going to end up scrolling, and next thing you know, you're going to blow an hour because you're watching videos. Set a timer that says, okay, cool, I'm out.
Right? Yeah. And we've been talking a lot about the unfun parts of business development, you know, cold calling, telemarketing, all that type of stuff. But, you know, I use Facebook a lot in groups, and I use groups as my prospecting tool. And then it's, you know, it is making comments and replying and initializing those conversations.
Well, and I think we should do a whole episode on, you know, how do we do the different social platforms and really how to do those. So we'll put those in there as additional episodes, you know, how to do Instagram for business, Facebook for business, LinkedIn for business, and TikTok, and even Clubhouse now, because that's a new badass thing. And Kevin's excited. He, you know, as we record this episode, he gets to actually get on Clubhouse for the first time. So he's got his iPhone and is going to come join the land of Clubhouse people. So
yeah, all my friends are like giving me crap. Like, you bought an iPhone just to get on Clubhouse. I'm like, it's a business thing. Yes, I'm not getting off my Samsung because they're better.
Right. I agree. I'm not an Apple guy, but I've got a freaking iPhone just for Clubhouse. So guys, for this episode, I think the biggest takeaways is turn business development into a fun activity that you want to do. Get creative and partner up with people. Find a buddy system and do the activities that you actually enjoy. Just make sure they're getting you to an actual sales call, so you can go have real fun conversations and enjoy the process. Sales is meant to be fun, and both people should walk away from sales interactions really enjoying that moment. So I think that's where you need to spend some time. So as always, guys, if you got any value out of this episode, you know, one tip or tactic that would work in your world, do me a favor and teach somebody else how to subscribe to the show. Wherever they listen to podcasts, teach them how to subscribe. Rating and reviews are a beautiful thing, but subscriptions mean everything for us, guys. We truly appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to Growth Mode. Stay out of trouble, and we'll catch you next time.